How I make decisions. So the first thing I try to think about is the concept of time. This is so important because if you're in a rut, the amount of time that you have varies. So you could have a lot of time or you have very little time. For me, I try to understand these two positions because this actually goes into the next phase of decision making, which is quickness versus quality. So there are many things that you can do that can be done quickly or it can be done with quality. Quickness, it can be sending off an email, giving someone a phone ring, just ask them how they're doing. Those things can be done quickly, quick follow up. Versus quality, let's say you're looking over some bank documents, looking over your taxes, looking over project planning. If you're trying to produce a product, what does the pricing look like? Transactions look like? These things will take a lot of quality time and you have to pay attention for them. So you have to differentiate between which works. Next is deciding when to take action. There's obviously going to be consequences for taking action and inaction, right? If you don't take action, well, you could lose out on opportunity. But if you do take action, then you need to understand what consequence you're getting out of that. Meaning, if you take an action quickly without thinking, and you're really supposed to be doing something with quality, highly likely that you'll end up making a mistake. You may have to do it over again, which ends up taking more time. I remember one time when I was in Memphis, Tennessee, I was doing some real estate and I was going over some of the measurements for this wood with some of the guys I was working with. They were going to the store to pick up some just some wood to lay down some foundation for this roof, and we were doing a house project, right? Wanted them to measure everything first and before we even go to a store or anything, but they chose not to, and it ended up taking them 2 or 3 times to go back and forth to the store when they didn't have the correct wooding, they didn't have the correct nails, didn't have the correct locks for different things for this house. And overall, it took so much time that it ended up being not worth it. We didn't get a whole lot done during the day. So that's really the importance of that first piece of quickness versus quality. So it's important to understand, which basket, what bin to put these things first, and then you can take action. So understanding the quality versus quickness factor is so important. I can't say how many times that has saved me from having to do things all over again versus doing it completely right the first time. The last part I try to go through is the balancing of risk versus reward. So understanding what is the risk of doing this, of making this decision, right? And being okay with that. You're going to have the consequences regardless of what path you choose, but understanding that risk reward factor clearly is very critical. And what's the worst thing that could happen versus what's the best thing that can happen. I always try to ask myself those two things because those questions will actually decide whether or not you're going to be successful with the outcome or whether or not that outcome is going to be beneficial for you. So those are just some things I thought I'd share. In the comments if you have any tips on decision making. I would be willing to hear you out. All right, my name's been Preston Davis, and I hope you enjoy.